Woohoo! We're here! Welcome everyone to Archaeologist Plays Pharaoh. That's what I've just kind of called it on YouTube. Uh, couldn't think of a much better name, but I think it's a pretty accurate description. So I'll wait a few minutes to give people time to join, and I'll just put a post on Instagram to let people know that it's alive, I guess, which feels a bit weird. Hi guys. Hello to all the people who are joining us at the moment. Yeah, just 2 seconds while I'm mildly distracted. Okay, add to story. I have a personal Instagram for like family and friends, and then I have this one, and I switch between both of them on my phone, and sometimes it just causes me so much chaos. I'm gonna take a photo of you guys and the inceptionness of this. I love archaeology too, cool kid. Yeah, it's great. That's why we're all here. Okay. So for the people who are currently here, I do have a question that I'm going to just start us off, just so I can kind of get an idea. Is let me know in the chat. Actually, I'm going to put up a poll. Never mind. Have you played Pharaoh? Let me know if you guys have played the game before. I'm really interested to see people who do know of it and who don't, because like I've been playing this game pretty much since it came out, like my entire life. I haven't actually played it for a few years. The last time I played it as well, I had started like going on Reddit, which I'd never been on before, and I learned so many things about how I was playing the game wrong because I started playing it as a kid, so like I didn't read guides or like think about it strategically or anything. So I wasn't very good at it. So please don't set your expectations high that this is going to be like a really professional stream. It's more kind of similar to what I did for Ask an Archaeologist Day, where I want to play the game and then kind of use an opportunity while we're playing it to kind of talk about the archaeology behind it. So, you know, it does follow loosely the history of Egypt. And I think it's really also like a really great teaching tool, because people, you know, they don't like, they often say, oh, history is boring, or I didn't like history because I didn't like how it was taught to me in school. And I totally resonate with that in terms of, you know, the way that we get taught about history a lot of the time is very audio, like someone talks at you and they might have some visual aids, but it's not really like tactile. And I'm a really tactile learner. I don't know about everybody else. So I think this is a really great way to kind of make it really more interactive by kind of showing the game and talking about it, and you can kind of watch me play it, and then we can talk about it a little bit more. If you guys have any questions or clarifications that you want to ask me about, I'll do my best to answer them. I did do some brushing up on the historical period that we're going to be playing today. I also want to say that I got my my first like Ko-fi donation from my archaeology news video that I put out yesterday, and I'm not sure if this person's going to be on the stream or if they're going to watch it later, but Kevin, if you're out there, like, thank you so much for that. I really appreciated it, and it really made my morning to know that to get a little bit of validation in that way, that, you know, people care. So I really appreciated that. And yeah, if you guys are new here, this is Inside Archaeology. I'm an archaeologist. I put out videos about archaeology. I do a roundup every month called Archaeology News of all the biggest news stories going on in the world. I try to make sure that it covers as much of the globe and lots of different historical periods as I can, and is talking about like kind of the stories that you will be seeing a lot of the time in the news, and maybe some of the stories that you won't be seeing in the news. So we've been doing this for 5 minutes, so we're just going to go ahead and we're going to just get started. So, okay, I've got to change. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to just change my little window. I'm actually going to put it in the top left corner because preview scaling. I'm just going to transform, flip vertical. I know that I can like crop this, but I just have to remind myself how. Blending, scale, filtering, transform, edit, transform, crop. Okay, so we're gonna crop right. Aha. Okay. I'm gonna do like 100 pixels. Let's do 200 pixels. Yeah, I think that's better. Okay. I'm putting this up in this corner for a reason that you will see when I start the game. So we're going to start the game now. We're going to start with the magnificent intro that I love, which I'm not sure why it's not showing full screen for you guys.
The Pharaoh is the heart of Egypt. The land is its body.
I'm sorry if you just hear this.
And the people are its blood.
It's up in the corner because it's a full screen for me. Oh, that's crap. It worked fine when I tested it.
One day you will rule Egypt, my son.
What have I done? Oh no. Okay, let's see if I can do it this way. Oh, that's strange. Okay. Why is it up in the corner? 1 second. Technical difficulties, guys. Maybe that will fix it. No? Why am I still in the corner? Bug me. I don't fix it, so apologies if I have to take a moment. I will say that I think you guys can hear this. I'll maybe turn it down a little bit. I love the music in this game. Like, oh, there's nothing like it. Let's see if I can maybe add this as a window. Window capture. Instagram, no. I also sometimes hear this, uh-oh. I sometimes hear this music being used in other places. So, like, sometimes I can identify it when I, like, hear it from other people. I don't know. Why is this being so mean to me? Why is this gonna be so rude? I wish that it, Pharaoh, okay. Pharaoh, exactly. Alright, let's see if that's any better. No, my camera's still in front of it. Oh, I'm so sorry, guys. I don't know why this is like showing the way that it was, because when I did it and tested it earlier, it of course worked the way that it was supposed to. So, I just don't want this to be a fail. Display capture. I'm just gonna remove all of these. Yes. And then we'll try it again, and then we'll just see what we can do, and I'll start playing a level, and if it's crap, it's crap. There's not much I can do otherwise. Alright, we're gonna do droid cam. Don't want to do that. Game capture. Okay, any full screen application. Specific window. This one. Alright, let's see if this will work. Okay. Does this show? No. Why can't I run these things concurrently? That's so annoying. Alright, well, I'll put this over here and we'll see if that changes anything. I don't know. I'm going to try a display capture again because that seemed to be the bit that worked before. If anybody in the comments has any suggestions, please let me know because I have not used this a lot, so I don't really, like, I'm still learning how this all works. But anyway, all right, we're going to start Pharaoh and Cleopatra. We're just going to start it. It's going to be in the corner. That's just what it is. All right. At least you can see it now. I'm going to be quiet for this part.
The Pharaoh is the heart of Egypt. The land is its body, and the people are its blood. One day you will rule Egypt, my son. Your armies will thunder across the boundless desert. And it shall tremble beneath them, as it shook beneath the pounding feet of the countless men who toiled in the burning sun to build your grandfather's eternal resting place. He was Egypt, just as I am Egypt, and as you will be Egypt. His face is my face, and your face. His strength, our strength, for his blood runs in our veins. He labored a lifetime to build this monument, which now watches over us. And when it was complete, so too was his life complete. Yet even as my father was taken by Anubis, a new life came forth. And as your grandfather was bound in fine linen, so were you wrapped in swaddling clothes. And a new day dawned for Egypt. In time, each pharaoh must heed the call of Osiris and embark on a final journey to the immortal realm. For when the day of Pharaoh's reign is at an end, so the night of his eternal sleep begins. While he slumbers undisturbed, so shall Egypt endure.
Dun, 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 dun. That's a really great introduction. Oh man, I love this game. It's so good. So this says Pharaoh Cleopatra. So a little bit about the game if you don't know. The original game Pharaoh came out in 1999. So it is like 23 years old, 24 years old. And then they released an expansion pack later on called Cleopatra, which added more levels and other things onto it. So yeah, we're gonna go in. We're gonna play. This is SSS. It's my like experiment that I tried earlier, but we're gonna create a family. It's going to be Rachel Alman because that used to be my channel name if you are new here. This was actually the name that my dad gave to my missions when I was a kid and I was still learning to play it. So we're going to keep it. You can, if you want, choose like an appropriate Egyptian name from this list. But we're gonna, I don't want to be Kia. I want to be Rachel Alman. So we're going to continue, begin family history. So this is game is going to start in the Predynastic period, which is basically the prehistoric period of Egypt. So I have prepared a little bit of text. Give me just a second. Let me see if I can pull this up on my other screen so that I can see it and read a little bit here, and then we're gonna just go to 50%. No, that's too much. 60. I can't see anything then. Yeah, we'll pull this back up here. So anyway, Predynastic period of Egypt is basically the prehistoric period of Egypt. And we say prehistoric, when we say prehistoric, we mean basically before the advent of writing and record keeping and standardization of that. History is kind of broadly defined as when we start writing things down. So everything before that is prehistory. So this covers a really wide range of time because it goes back tens of thousands of years. In respect to Egypt, it kind of covers like the earliest human settlements and then goes up to what we call the early dynastic period, which happens around 3100 BCE. Now, in the game, as you can see here, they call it the Predynastic period, and then they have the Archaic period. I think that is essentially supposed to be what we now call the early dynastic period. This game is 20 years old, so, over 20 years old. So there will be some things in it based on, the information that was available when they made it that will be different to what we know about ancient Egypt now. So also, it's a game. I don't expect it to be 100% historically accurate. I think that for what it is, it's incredibly accurate, and some of the things that they've sacrificed for accuracy, I totally get that. You can't do this 100%, I think. So basically, the predynastic period comprises like several different cultural groups of people that settled along the Nile through the Paleolithic period and developed their own distinct cultures that then kind of melted together and eventually became what we kind of think as Lower and Upper Egypt, which then became one in ancient Egypt, became ancient Egypt in the early dynastic period. And it was always kind of called the two lands. So it's not just like one successive culture and another. There were several, and there was lots of like people developing their own things. And then as they would have grown in their settlements and interacted with other people, things evolved, and then, people have warfare and everything. One key thing to kind of also keep in mind, a concept that I want to introduce right away, is geographic terms that I'm probably going to be using a lot here, which is Upper and Lower Egypt. So again, if you don't know, it's kind of anti-intuitive, and it still screws with my brain even now, in that when we talk about Upper and Lower Egypt, it's not directional as you would think, like Upper Egypt's on the top and Lower Egypt's on the bottom when you think of a map of Egypt. It's actually the other way around, because it's a reference that is tied to the Nile. So upriver is the southern part of Egypt, because the Nile itself begins in Nubia. I think now it's Sudan, and then it flows downriver towards the Mediterranean. So then Lower Egypt is kind of the northern half of Egypt, where it primarily concentrated around the Nile Delta. So yeah, that's just something to keep in mind. It's not it's not as intuitive as you think it is. So as I said, the Predynastic represents a huge period of time, kind of around 10,500 BCE. So that's 12,000 years ago. You start to see wild grain harvesting along the Nile. So not people actively cultivating and growing it, but they're still using it. And then people start migrating to the area. They start developing culture. So things like I think they start to see organized settlements around 7,000 BCE. Ships start being depicted in rock art around 6,000 BCE. And then we start to have, again, subterranean chambers and this idea of burying people. They developed furniture, tablewares, models of houses, pots, dishes, cups, figurines, all these kinds of things well before the periods that we're going to be playing in the game. But that's and these things kind of get introduced as if you're developing them in the game. So that's a bit not quite so accurate, but obviously that's fine. So I just gotta adjust my screen again. I don't like that this basically puts me back to display. I'm gonna have to figure out a better way of playing this. Later, because essentially I have like a bunch of notes on a thing that I want to be able to read, but then when I go to my notes on the other screen, I kind of have to exit out of the game. It's really annoying. I don't like it. So anyway, so Predynastic period here is largely going to cover the 3500 BCE upwards. And yeah, I'll just click the thing. I think there's going to be another cutscene, but we're going to go forward.
It is said that a journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. So may the story of a great nation begin with one dream. The Red Land has given birth to such a dream. Clans of nomads carry it in their heart, across the immeasurable desert and into the land of Egypt.
So, two things that I want to say. Ooh, my screen just went a bit weird. Oh, this guy's going to talk. Okay, 1 second.
Of the Pharaohs. Here you'll participate in the history of one of the greatest civilizations the world has ever seen. In an epic story that spans more than 15 centuries and 24 generations. You must lead one family, generation by generation, from its earliest beginnings in Egyptian prehistory, through the dawn of civilization, to the establishment of a unique and powerful empire.
Okay, so this is your level guide. There's a bunch of stuff here. I'm just going to do some stuff with the display, because yeah, it always is a bit weird. I'm going to go down to this. You used to be able to pause. Oh, there we go. I'm going to pause my game. So I'm going to start off just kind of making a few comments about this cutscene that we just saw. So he mentions the Red Land, and this is really, I think, again, it's like a little bit of an Easter egg, because Egyptians did not call ancient Egypt Egypt. They called it the two lands, but and these two lands that they refer to are the Red Land, which in their language was called the Deshret, which I'm fairly confident we get the word desert from. So this was the desert land, and then they had the Black Land, which was the Kemet. And so the Black Land was the land immediately adjacent to the Nile. So if you're not familiar with how the Nile works, basically every year there would be monsoons up at the source of the Nile in Nubia, which would then flood it, and then it would rise above its banks, and it would deposit all this really rich, mineral-rich silt on the banks, and it would flood those banks for a few months, and then it would like recede back to its normal levels, leaving behind these deposits, which were like A+ grade material for farming, which is why Egyptians were like, that was the backbone of their economy for a very, very long time. Essentially, once a year, the Nile flushes the toilet down towards the Mediterranean and creates this like great deposits for agriculture and farming. So this game starts off pretty basic. We just have to make a couple houses, and we're starting off, if you're not familiar with this menu, we're starting off in the year 3500 BCE. So in terms of real life, at this point, the economy was like somewhat advanced in terms of they'd kind of already started settling down. We have evidence of trade going on between Egypt and other places. Faience, the type of unique glass that they're known for making, had already been invented. The Senet, their fairly famous board game, it's probably the world's oldest confirmed board game that we know existed, had been invented by this point. And this level that we're playing, just to give you a little bit of background, Nut, I think he called it, / Nakada is what it's also called. So this is a real archaeological site and place in time. We have to start off the game. So I'm going to start playing and building some houses. And then while we wait for people to settle them, I'll talk to you a little bit more about Nut. So the key thing, so we're going to build some roads here. We have some ostriches, as you will see, down at the bottom of the screen. These guys are going to be our food source. You will also notice here that there's a big difference between the grass and the desert. So I know from playing this game before that you want to try and build things close to the grass because you need that for water. And of course I can't build anything if I'm paused. So I'm going to just do this. 1, 2, 3, 4. You build things in blocks in this game, so that's why I'm counting it. So I'm going to start off making some groups of 4 houses, maybe some 6 across here. Always leave gaps because later you have more buildings that you're able to populate with. Just leave that there. We're going to also put in a well. So these don't need to be connected to roads, but obviously if you have people, they need to have access to water. So actually, probably not great. How do I forget how oh yeah, remove things. Just gonna do that there. I made a mistakey. Whoops. Oh yes, so you'll wonder why things are a bit slow. That's because I've done something with the speed. So there used to be keys so that I could speed this up and slow it down, and I don't remember what they are. Yeah, I don't care about that. Options, speed. We'll put it up to 60 or 80. And we'll have some people come and settle. I'm gonna remind myself what my mission requirements are. This brings you back to this thing. Meager shanties. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll see. I might have to add more. Okay, so as we can see, we have people coming in and settling in our houses. Our population count is slowly going up. I probably built this in completely the wrong area, but c'est la vie. It's just the way that it is. I'll do another set of houses over here. Sturdy hut. So this is one of the things I love about this game, is that you have all these different progressions of homes. So we now have some sturdy huts. Our aim is to get some meager shanties. So actually, I think you're supposed to do houses in blocks of 4. So I'll just do that here. And I'll do another well in between these guys. I'll give these guys a well. I don't know how these guys are going to do, but we'll see. So Nakata, that is the name of the current day settlement there. It is a Chalcolithic, which is Copper Age, Predynastic settlement, settled and started sometime between 38 and 3700 BCE, so 5800 years ago roughly. Nakata is a place. It's also kind of a culture and of people that settles here, and it is a culture that's divided into kind of 3 different periods. So there's Nakata 1, 2, and 3, and we have evidence from the sites that we have left here of multiple different types of buildings. We also have actually evidence of breweries and food. This popping up is right on time. So this is going to talk to us a little bit more about food. So we have 2 new places in the menu. So we have to build a hunting lodge. These are the guys that are going to go out and get us some food. They're going to put that food into a granary, which I'm just going to put here. And then a bazaar is going to go get the food and then distribute it to people. And I'm just going to take away the road here, because then hopefully the bazaar lady will go in a circle to distribute the food. So this game is a bit misleading in that it has you starting off with this idea of the hunting lodge, and this guy is just not going to find people that are going to work, which is really annoying. So I'll just put it there, whatever. So the way that this game works is that working buildings need to be able to access workers. So these little guys walking around in white hats, they are out looking for staff for their granary. And they need to have access to the homes to get that. And then as you can see, we've got some meat here from the hunting lodge going the most difficult way around the block to distribute it in the bazaar, in the granary. And then the lady walking now in green and blue, she's going to go and collect the meat for the bazaar, take it back to the bazaar, and then people will be able to eat. So this game, like I said, it has us starting off with kind of this idea of hunter-gathering. It's not starting off with farming, whereas actually in history at this point in time, Egyptians were farming. We can also see just up here that we have our first meager shanty. Woohoo! Victory! So as the food is distributed to people here, the houses will hopefully upgrade. I think that I have enough of a population for this, so we'll see. Yeah, so anyway, back to real life Nakata. It is located in Upper Egypt, so this is the southern half of geographical Egypt. You can't look at it on the map because it's not available in this assignment. How typical. But yeah. We're going to get a perfect inundation this year. Doesn't matter because we're not farming. Yeah. So yeah, by this time in history, they were actually brewing things already. There are remnants of brewery buildings at the real-life Nakata that are separated from the residential buildings by like fences. Oh no, we have a fire. Oh, someone's house burned down. We gotta put up a fire thing. Oh. Yes, I know, there's lots of fire. Oh, this game sometimes. It just, it really screws with you. So basically, things get hot. Similar to what happens in modern day. Places burn down. Luckily, we have the fire squad who's going to come and help us with this. So I will put another... I'll just replace these houses that have burned down. Have to be mindful of my budget. That is a real thing as well. You only have so much money theoretically to play with this game. I mean, you can cheat if you want to. But yeah, so we're gonna do this. I think I'm gonna put up another hunting lodge just to try and get a little bit more meat going on here. So in terms of what kind of archaeological remains we tend to have from these periods, typical stuff that you would expect to find here is a really distinctive type of pottery that's called black-topped pottery. So it is common of these kind of like Upper Egypt sites that are closer to Nubia. And these are vessels that they're really distinctive if you look them up, blacktop pottery. They were used mostly for ritual and funerary purposes because we've discovered them in a lot of cemeteries and settlements. They reflect the variation of something called a Hes jar, H-E-S jar form, and so they have like a red body, but then like the lip of the pot is black. And the red comes from natural iron in the silt and the soil from around the Nile, which oxidizes when it fires. And then the black bit is kind of like carbon smudging and also part of the firing process when you're making pottery. Other kind of like famous kinds of finds from this area include knives. So this is actually something I didn't know when I was reading about this. Or when I was researching clean water. Oh, we have to get water for everyone. Okay. So, as you can see, some people have wells, but now we need a water supply. So, I'm actually just going to get rid of this house because I don't really need it. And we're going to do a water supply. And I'll do a few houses beside it. And we'll see how it goes. Oh! I win! Ha 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 ha! I beat this level. Good for me. So I'll finish talking about Nakata and then we'll move on to the next level. Knife handles. That's where I was. So there's something called the twisted knife tradition, and these are knives that when you're thinking of them, they would have been made out of stone, not like iron or anything. We don't have that technology yet. They would have been made out of flint because this is still the Stone Age. And the twisted knife tradition is something that is common to northern/lower Egypt that we then see make a progression towards upper Egypt, and then they kind of meld together. So a lot of the knife handles that we have from this period, so you have the knife itself made out of stone, and then the handle is made out of a different material. It might have been like bone or something like that. But knife handles from the Nakata II period show really intricate work with designs of humans worshipping gods or just in the act of worship, and then also scenes of nature and everything. I saw some really beautiful pictures of them online when I was looking this up. And then burials in this point, they tend to, they are burying people in the sand, and they are starting to bury people facing towards the west, which is a trend of later ancient Egypt. The west was seen as the land of the dead, and this entirely corresponds to the sun. So, the sun rises in the east, that is, birth, life-giving, etc., and it sets in the west, so that represents death to them. So at some point they were starting to bury people, and that's why, for example, like the Valley of the Kings is on the western bank of the Nile. So like the majority of Egyptian burial sites, like the pyramids, are on the west of the Nile. The Saqqara, the famous necropolis burial ground, like all the famous Egyptian burial sites are on the west of the Nile, not on the east, and that's because of this association with the sun setting and death. So yeah, there's something interesting you can take back to everyone. I'm talking so much, I need some water. Okay, I'm gonna have to switch the screens again to scroll down in my Word document because I apparently can't run these things together. Yeah, let's just move this here. Okay. You can also see the other games that I'm playing at the moment. So if you're at all interested, I've also bought and I've been playing in my free time a game called Roots of Pacha, which is an independent game that's like Stardew Valley or like Harvest Moon, but it's like set in a Stone Age. It's entirely fictional. Can I turn my mic volume up? Yes, I can do that. Thank you. Thank you so much for saying something, because yes, I would not know if nobody said anything. All right, I've turned the mic volume up. We'll see if that does anything. I'm also going to just say, I'm going to just go and say, I don't know, 100. I don't know how these things really work. If, in case that wasn't already clear. Yeah. All right, so we won this level. We're going to go to the next one. Woohoo!
Done. By filling your people's bellies with nourishing food and protecting their homes from fire and collapse, you have helped this fledgling civilization take its first step on the long road of history.
Dun, dun, dun. Mission completed in 13 months. Did it in a year, guys. Well done me. Next up, we have Thenis.
After many years and the passing of a generation, your family has resettled in the area of Thinis, in Upper Egypt. Here, a small band of local rulers is attempting to extend its influence over Lower Egypt and all lands along the River Nile, and to unite this realm under its own house with one supreme leader. Establishing Thinis as a thriving city like nothing ever seen before will prove the worthiness of the Thinite Confederacy and help them gain supremacy over Lower Egypt and the other factions vying for power. In time, this will mean providing the population with entertainment and building wonderful temples to worship the region's patron deity. To build a city this grand will require a substantial
All right, so we're in Thenis, and we have some, and we have some new buildings and new things. So we have gold mines. Love that for me. A palace, so we need an administrative center to process all of our new fancy gold. But of course, with gold comes crime. So we also have the introduction now of police stations, so that we can, not have all of our fancy money stolen. So, okay, pause again. We're just going to do a bit of an overview. I'm going to talk a little bit here about the differences. So if we look up at the top right, we have jumped forward about 400 years to 3100 BCE. This is roughly correct and accurate in terms of this was the period in which they started grouping together, and we see this emergence of really like the idea of Upper and Lower Egypt as like two kind of distinct cultures. We have the Thinite Confederacy, that is something that was actually referred to by the historical classician called Manetho, who gives us some of our kings lists, which is how we were, which is one of like our primary historical documents for Egypt. In terms of Thinis, it's really interesting. It's actually a lost city. So it's a bit weird in here because they have a thing where they have an option up here for the names of the cities being either Egyptian or classical, by which they mean Greek. And I have it switched on Egyptian, but Thinis is actually the classical Greek name for this place. Its Egyptian name was Tjenu, T-J-E-N-U, Jenu. And it was the capital city of the first dynasties of ancient Egypt that emerge as rulers and kings, but it is undiscovered. We don't know where it is. We know roughly the area where it is, which is around Abydos, which is another like big ritual spot that I think we have as a level later on. I can't remember. But the Thinite Confederacy that they mention in the introduction there is a real historical thing, and it is a precursor to the kind of first dynasties or it is the origin of the first dynasties of Egypt until they were united under someone who's called Narmer, or Narmer, however you want to say it. We're not going to talk about him yet because I think he's mentioned in the next one. So It is good. Like, I was reading about this, and I just don't know how we haven't found this place yet. um, Considering that we know roughly where it is, but I also know we've made so many advances with geophysical survey and being able to kind of, kind of x-ray the ground in just even the past like decade or so. I'm like really have my fingers crossed that somebody has a project ongoing to do some geophysical scans in and around the area where we think this place is to try and find it, because to find that would be like a major discovery in Egypt. So anyway, I'm gonna start the game by playing. So how do I usually play this? I always play this slightly weird when I was a kid, because like I said, I didn't really know what I was doing. So we're gonna start with some gold mines. And just go here. So I was looking up and I saw like a suggestion for how you should like lay out your cities, so we're gonna just kind of try that today. I don't know how well it's gonna work or not. And we'll do another guy in here. Hopefully that's enough. Firehouse. We need to protect everybody from fire. We also now have other new buildings. We have an architect's post. So this prevents your buildings from falling down. We have the police station, very important. You need to have these buildings just around everything, basically. I'm going to do my water supply here. Yeah. Too few employees. How topical. So, yeah. Got some buildings, we've got some people, and hopefully we will have enough of a population. So these are your, okay, can hold 116 more people. These are your advisors, so this kind of gives you a bit of an over picture of the city. Don't have enough food for everybody because, yeah, we're not that far yet. I'll build palace. This is where we have to be careful because we have our treasury here has 1,700 debens left, and this palace costs a lot of money to build. Not a fan of that, I'm not gonna lie. But I'm gonna build it right away because as soon as this building is built, these people will start giving me money. So yeah. Yes, and I do build this as close to this as possible so that there's a shorter route to get there. And I will also say that we can't really operate this game without having a system like a budget of money, but at this point in time, I don't think Egypt had a currency. It would still have very much been a barter system, as far as I'm aware. I could be wrong. Oh, okay, we've got some more gold. This is also good because you can hover over it and it will tell you just some quick stats. The key one is always unemployment. You don't want employment to be too low, because then you don't have enough people and your place is one. Yeah, gold mines are also really expensive things to have. So I will wait. Oh, now we have gods. Oh, that's lovely. So now we have the introduction of gods, deities. Which is good. because, you know, people need that religion. They need something to inspire them. So each of the cities in this game has, they'll have like a patron god, and then they have auxiliary gods, which they, and sometimes if they're happy with you, they can help with things. So you have temples. You also have festivals. Accurate. Ancient Egyptians loved to party. They had festivals all throughout the year. They had special festivals for rains. You know, in the UK here, we have jubilees for milestones of a monarch's reign. They had those. Yeah, they loved a good party. So, yeah, all right. Because we've gotten far enough, we can build a temple. So you also have shrines here. So a shrine will, it's not quite the same level as a temple, but it still accomplishes giving people access to religion, I guess. Oh, that's not a defensive structure. Entertainment. Oh, so many things are popping up now. So, you know, people get bored. You know, the Roman philosophy of bread and circuses, also true in ancient Egypt. So I'm going to put a temple here to Bast. She is a key. Actually, I'm going to put it here, so then hopefully, actually, I just know that if I don't put an architect post and a fireplace here, my temple is going to burn down, and that'll really make Bast probably quite upset with me. I'm also just going to put in a few more houses for the, do I have a, I do have a festival square. Alright, so I have to wait for that. I can put in a juggler's booth eventually. Yeah, so the patron goddess of this level is Bast, or Bastet, who is the cat goddess, the really famous cat goddess that everybody knows of ancient Egypt. So we'll look at her as over here. So these are the 5 gods that are in the game. They do not even scratch the surface of the pantheon that the ancient Egyptians worshipped, but again, game is limited, you can't do everything. It has always annoyed me that they only have one female goddess in this pantheon. Like, I really feel like if you're going to choose 5, you could at least do 2 out of 3, but whatever. So these gods all have kind of like rough different things that they can help you with. Bast here is representing the goddess of the home, which is kind of like roughly accurate. When we think of gods as well of Egypt and what we think of them, we're kind of thinking them a lot of the time in the end stage of what their evolution was, because they didn't start off a lot of the time the way that they ended up being, like near the end of ancient Egypt and their worship. So Bast is an older deity. We have a history of her being worshipped as early as the Second Dynasty of Egypt, 2890 BCE. So a few hundred years after when this level is supposed to have happened, but I mean, close enough. She was originally a like lioness warrior goddess of the sun, who you might think, oh, that's Sekhmet. No, that kind of comes later, but they are associated together. But Bast was worshipped throughout most of Egyptian history. Later on is when we see her transition from being a lioness to a cat goddess, and her kind of primary role was as a defender of the king, as well as being a goddess, a patron goddess of pregnancy, childbirth, protection against disease. These associations, we think, have a lot to do with this kind of cat aspect. You know, fertility and pregnancy. You know, cats, if they're left to, they produce a lot of offspring fairly frequently. They're very fertile. So that's that makes sense as association. Also, this idea of her being a protector goddess makes sense because cats were cultivated by humans because of the fact that they are a natural predator against like rodents and vermin and snakes. So you know, nobody likes snakes. They're not good for you. So yeah, the Egyptians worshipping cats. You know, wild cats are very much deserving of worship. Very much had a practical element in that it was a very like symbiotic relationship. We fed them, we gave them all the cuddles and the purrs, and they in return hunted rats and snakes and helped us out in that way. So yeah, that's what we like about them. So my city is doing pretty well here. My unemployment, oh gosh, it's at 20%. That's not good. So we're going to suck up some of this unemployment with making some hunting lodges. So I'm not connecting this to the main settlement because I'm not. So I'm going to put a hunting lodge here. Oh, I forgot that I can't do things when I'm paused. I'm going to put a hunting lodge here, and then I'm going to put a granary down here. And I'm going to do some road stuff here. We'll do a firehouse, an architect's post here so that nothing burns down. And then we're going to do just a little thing here, and I'm gonna put my bazaar. So then once they've hunted things, they can take it straight to the granary, and then the lady from the bazaar can come get it, and it's all nice and close together and everybody's happy. You will have seen we also got the thing about the entertainment. Like I said, Egyptians love to party. So in just a minute I'm going to put in some entertainment. I really want to remember how to speed the game up or not. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh god. Okay, so those are the overseers. 2 people. Oh, this is gonna bug me for forever. I can't figure out how to do this. I'm just gonna put 2 people here. Why? Nobody lives nearby. That's not true. Where is the granary employment coming from? I have to check. Oh, he's going that way. Well, that's stupid. Haha. I don't know why people insist on going ways that they're not supposed to. It's so rude. I'm just going to move my camera because I'm very aware that I'm not looking at you guys. While I wait for this to change, I'll just maybe stick the camera here so it's a bit more... Oh god, no, I've cut myself off. 1 second. Just a second, I've got to adjust this because it's gonna bug me. Dun, dun, dun. Oh, someone says hello from IOA of JU in Krakow. Hello! Hello from Krakow. I don't know what those acronyms mean if you want to put it in the chat. But that sounds good. Glad to have you here. All right, so we're doing really well. We have people having food, which is good. I actually don't think I need to have the palace connected. So I'm just gonna undo that because then that means that we don't have someone trying to put food where it's not supposed to be. Why is this person not? Sure, Institute of Archaeology of Jagiellon University. Oh, hello! That's so awesome that you're here. Welcome. Let me know if you've ever played this game. If not, that's fine. Why is this bazaar not doing anything? That's like bazaar. Maybe I'll just put it here and see if that does anything. Bazaar's employed. Okay. looking for food or goods to sell. Make sure this is accept all. Okay. I don't know why. Oh. Oh, so this is useful. This is a screen that shows how much water everybody has. I'm just playing around with the keyboard right now. That's architecture. Tab. No. Nobody has food. I don't know why. Go buy it. Do I need to, maybe it's because I don't have the right entrance. Maybe that will make a difference. So it says sometimes an entrance thing. Like, let's see if that works. This guy, I don't know why this is not great. I'm going for EAA in Belfast. No, I have no current plans to go to EAA in Belfast. I'm very bad at being involved in that kind of stuff. Okay, this is clearly not working, and I don't know why. Maybe if I... Oh, this game is really starting... Okay, I don't know why the bazaar's not awaiting food. I wonder if it means, like, is that gonna make a difference? Come on, bazaar. Let's see if that makes a difference. Yeah, because all these houses need food. I don't know why this is... I hate sometimes when things don't work the way that I want them to. Anyway, I'll leave it for a sec. Oh. That's dumb. And she needs to go to the back. Oh, that is so frustrating. Whatever, I'm not gonna... I can't get myself worked up over this. It is an older game. Some things are not as... Oh, now the... Oh, that's so frustrating. Okay, well... I don't know if I need to... What do I want to do about this? Alright, I'm going to put a bazaar far away here. I'm going to get rid of this one. And then I'm going to get rid of that. And then they just have to go a long way to get the food, but it means that everybody then gets fed. So that's all that matters. Alright, I'm doing really well for gold, I think. So I'm going to expand my gold making, facilities. Oh, crap. See, this is why I haven't played this game for a few years, and now I remember why. Well, not I remember why, but I've clearly forgotten everything, / I'm having quite obvious performance anxiety playing this in front of 5 people. I'm gonna put one house there so that we can have some employment. Hey, Polish people having fun in the chat. That's great. This also gives me opportunity. So these booths, so these are good for entertaining people, as we said. Egyptians loved a party, so bread and circuses. We gotta provide some circus for people. Yay, we have houses! Upgraded houses. Love that for us. Alright, we're gonna do some more gold mines. And some more houses. I wish I had roadblocks. Because once you get roadblocks in the game, it makes crafting things like... it makes laying out your cities a lot easier because, as you can see, you have to have this kind of like certain structure to it. Yeah, raw materials. Gonna do another gold mine here. I'll do another gold mine here. And of course we can't forget the architect's post and the police station here. Because, I don't know, the mines for some reason can't go on fire. Don't ask me why. So we're gonna have a few houses here. I'm gonna give those people a well. So they can have something. I might have to demolish some of these later, but whatever. Hello, Cheyenne. Another person on the stream. This is great. My chat rate is 1. I don't know what that means. Is that good or bad, guys? Let me know. Alright, so some people are getting food. That's good. Can't argue with that. I'm gonna get rid of these 2 houses. Employment's fine. So we now have a rough cottage. That's great. That is the next step up in the housing ladder, so that's gonna be good, I guess. I have to remember to view my mission. Ordinary cottages. And then I have to build a juggler booth. I have that, so. Nearby building, meager shanty. Oh, so I have to involve more of these buildings. That's fine. I don't know, this guy's just stuck here. I'm assuming that's a bit of a bug. Whatever. Oh, this person that's just joined us is from India. Hello, welcome! I wish I could have a game like this to play for like all the different like eras and historical things, because I feel like, as I said at the beginning, this is like a really excellent like learning tool for teaching people about history, because just being able to like see even just the evolution of, you know, the last one we had kind of not so great houses, and now we have more advanced houses, and we have the introduction of entertainment and soon, and the temples as well is really good. Clearly, am I an archaeologist? Well, yes, I no longer work as an archaeologist, but I would still consider myself to be one. I'm still pretty active in the archaeological space, even though I'm not going to EAA in Dublin, in Belfast. And probably the reason why I'm not going to EAA in Belfast at the moment is because that costs money, and I don't have enough holidays to do it. I would love to go, but yeah, archaeology hasn't quite gotten to the level yet where conferences will pay influencers to go attend these kinds of events. Although, you know, that would be great if it never got to that stage. Yeah. Oh, those people just got food. Maybe I shouldn't destroy this road. I won't destroy this road. Oh, we've got an ordinary cottage. So this is the housing style that we're aspiring to everywhere else that we don't have. So I think because we have some houses here doing that, I'm just gonna add another one. Oh, you know what helps with desirability is shrines. We're gonna just put some shrines to Vast, but I can't go crazy because I'm still waiting for my gold to arrive. I don't know why it's not going into my palace. That doesn't really make sense.
No one can accept these goods.
Yes it can.
I can use the rest.
This is a lie. There's 20 employees at my palace. Oh, you know what it's going to be that they want to go to like the other side of it. That's why. I'm going to have to get rid of this house and connect this road. It's so annoying. Yeah, see? Now all of a sudden they can give me gold in my thing. I don't understand how some of this works, I'm not going to lie. Put that there. Get rid of this road. Oh, this city is probably giving anybody who's ever played this game, like, such a headache, because I'm sure it is garbage laid out. Madam, please come to India. You know what? If somebody wants to pay me to go to India for something archaeological, I would be more than happy to do that. But, you know, it's a bit of a trek for me from where I live. I would actually love to feature some Indian archaeology on my channel, or some Indian archaeologists. I tried reaching out to an Indian archaeologist on Instagram to see if she would want to come onto my channel for Ask an Archaeologist, and she never replied to me, and I think that's probably because she probably doesn't respond to message requests, or perhaps she doesn't want to do something like that without being paid for it, which is entirely understandable. I totally get that. I don't hold that against anyone. But yeah. What is your... So this person that's asking me to come to India, if you had to suggest an archaeological site to visit in India besides the Taj Mahal, because obviously, where would you suggest that people go? That's what I want to know. Please tell me. Oh, we have some more ordinary cottages. Guys, we're getting there. Let's see. 400 people. 41. Ooh. I haven't had a festival yet. All right, so we've got 1, 2, 3 so far. And oh, I've got lots of things. So I'm going to do some more shrines to Bast to up my desirability. So, ooh, what's isolated from the kingdom? I don't know. Have I accidentally done something? Let's see if I can switch the... I think it's fine. Ever been digging in the Carpathians, somebody asked me. No, that would be cool as well. I mean, I said this on my Ask an Archaeologist live stream. I would love to go on a dig and kind of like take you guys with me. That would be my like dream, my next thing that I would love to be able to do with the channel. But unfortunately for me, doing that kind of stuff costs money. Going on a dig is something that can cost like thousands of dollars, and I just don't have that kind of money. So I did try reaching out to quite a few archaeological projects, this year to see if anybody could have me come even for 2 weeks, because I would have to I couldn't take much more time than that off of work at the moment, because yeah, I don't think my job would be very happy if I did that. But a lot of them seem to want you to be able to come for either like the full dig or like a much longer season. So yeah, I wasn't able to work that out, which is too bad. I'm gonna add another hunting lodge just so I can get down some of my unemployment. I might also get rid of a few shanties if I don't need those people. I'll be a bit ruthless in my population. Someone else, so nuts to see this game I played maybe twice in my 20s. Whoops, just showed my age. Yeah, it is crazy. I mean, I think it still holds up really well. Someone did recently do like a remaster of it, and it's called Pharaoh: A New Era, which you can also buy on Steam. I contemplated getting that for today, but when I was kind of looking at the reviews for it, people were saying that it doesn't, while the graphics look better, it still doesn't really measure up to the original, and there's several aspects of it that they've taken out that you don't get to do anymore. I think like you can't like how they did the warfare is different now, so people are saying it's not nearly as good. So, and I love the original, so I want to play it, so that's why we're playing it today. Another shrine to Bast, maybe that will pump up the jam for these people and make them more amenable to upgrading their houses. Come on. Shrine to Bast. We're getting there, guys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I need 4 more. And these people are right next to a temple. I don't know why they're, this house is not upgrading. What common shanty? Oh, it's this guy over here. I'm gonna just get rid of you then. Ha ha ha. Victory. Won the next one. Woohoo! Okay. Someone is asking, well, the Cheyenne, asking your PhD to complete. I don't have a PhD, and at this point in my life, I do not intend on pursuing one. Built my first true city. Woohoo! Well done, me. Now we're at Prawajit. Population 600.
Under one supreme ruler. To aid them in their cause, it is hoped that you will endeavor to establish a thriving community at Prawajit.
Just giving you some guys some time to read this.
Of Lower Egypt, thus spreading their influence throughout the length of the sacred river. To support a population larger than that of a village, you must learn to use agriculture.
Yes.
Egyptian farmers have begun to exploit the rich, fertile soil deposited by the annual inundation of the Nile River for growing crops. The Nile can be hazardous, however. Many dangers lurk along its banks and in its waters, such as deadly crocodiles, hippopotamuses, and malaria-carrying mosquitoes.
Yeah, nobody likes a mosquito. I hate mosquitoes. I hate bugs. All right, so this level, we've now progressed to the point where we can talk about farming. So as I was saying earlier, the game is a bit inaccurate in that they already did have, like, the earliest evidence for farming at this point was in 4800 to 4300 BCE. This comes from the Merimda culture. That was in Lower Egypt, which Nile Delta kind of makes sense. There's a site called Merimda Beni Salama, just northwest of Cairo, which is believed to be the oldest occupied town in Egypt, and kind of is one of the first ones that started having a fully agricultural economy. That's not this place. So this level is Prawajit. So again, give me a second while I go over to my notes and then scroll down so that I can make sure that I have all of the stuff that I want to talk about. Yes, calling me sweet. I appreciate that maybe your heart's in the right place, but that's, yeah. You can ask me other questions, thank you. We do have hippos over here. So I don't know if you guys know this, but like hippos are not nice. They're very aggressive creatures. And yes, are a definite hazard. So this level, Perwadjet, back to using an Egyptian name, it's also known as Buto. And this level takes place in 3050 BCE. Again, this is this is accurate for going away from lots of like separate settlements towards a unification of Egypt. That is something that was starting to happen around this time. So Buto is the Greek name for Perwadjet. Perwadjet is an important historical site from prehistoric Egypt, from the Paleolithic period up until around this time. It was a sacred site that was dedicated to the goddess Wadjet. The name Perwadjet means house of Wadjet. So Wadjet was a lower Egyptian goddess, so this is northern Egypt, represented as a cobra, and she was like the matron and protector goddess of lower Egypt. And once Egypt, Lower Egypt and Upper Egypt unified into the kingdom of the two lands, Wadjet was actually so important that she still remained an independent goddess, as well as Nekhbet, who was a patron goddess of Upper Egypt, represented by a vulture. So you have the vulture and the cobra, and it's kind of really unique that they remained independent after unification, because a lot of gods and goddesses at this time were then melded to become a lot of these gods and goddesses that we know, because you would have had like a god of agriculture in the north and a god of agriculture in the south, and they just became one. So they were then referenced as the two ladies, and they are very heavily featured in a lot of ancient Egyptian like royal iconography. So there's a thing that's called the uraeus, which is like part of the crown of the king of Egypt. It's like the headband, I guess. That could be wrong, but they are, you see on the uraeus, on the crowns of ancient Egypt, the vulture and the cobra. If I had a picture, I'd show it to you, but if you look it up, it's Uraeus. And so they are throughout the rest of the history of ancient Egypt, which I think is really, really interesting. There's some comments about the hippos. Refuse to believe hippos are real. To be fair, I think I've only ever seen them at the zoo. You don't really see them on the Nile anymore, but yeah, they can be pretty vicious. Yeah, so let's get on with building, and then I'll talk a little bit more about this place. So what am I gonna do? Do I have roadblocks yet? No. All right. I have farms. So I'm gonna just put my speed down. So this is a hack that I learned when I picked up this game when I was older. Didn't know about this when I played it as a kid at all. Is that, as you can see, you can turn the speed down so that the game doesn't progress forward. And this is mostly in relation to the Nile, because as the time goes on, the Nile goes up and down. So it can just be really useful. Looking around this map, we have some trees. As you can see, it's a really different geography to the maps that we had previously, which were a lot more kind of barren. This is much less so, because it's up near the delta, I believe. Still don't have an access to a map, so it's not telling me where it is, but I think Perwadjet, oh yeah, it is in the Nile Delta in Lower Egypt. So I'm going to try and concentrate my city around here with some easy access to fertile lands. So, oh, screw it, I'm gonna make a city block for myself. 1, 2, 3, 4. Make sure I have 4 things in there. Fine. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's do this. And we'll do that. And we'll maybe have a block up here. And I'll do firehouse, architect's post, police station, because we definitely don't want any of that stuff going off. So then I'm gonna make some farms in the Nile. So you need your farms. I'm gonna do 4 to start off with. And then you need people to work in them. So this was kind of in the thing that they talked about at the beginning, the work camps. Work camps should not, basically nothing but the farms and the roads goes on the Nile. All right, so we have that. Oh, I need a water supply. So I'm gonna put that there. And I'm just going to kind of cut these roads off, just to try and help things develop a bit more naturally. Temple. Okay, so now we have Osiris as our patron god. If you haven't heard of him, he's kind of a big deal. Actually, I'm gonna make this not that. He was, again, one of the like kind of OG gods of Egypt. In this game, he is represented as a god of agriculture in the Nile. There is a whole Egyptian kind of like myth about how he was a king and his brother killed him, and then his wife resurrected his body, and he had his vengeance against his evil brother, etc., etc., etc. Very interesting story. I'm just gonna get rid of these roads since I don't need them right now. Actually, I'm gonna get rid of this road so that these guys just have to go here to get workers, because they just apparently have to pass within like 2 tiles or something like that of somebody that of like a house, and then they have access to the workforce. So yeah, one of the things in this game is that it's just, it can be really difficult to get people to go where you want them to go. So you have to kind of manipulate the grid to do that. What's my mission objectives again? 600, modest homestead. Okay, I can do that. Oh, I need a granary. Crap, crap, crap. How am I going to do that? Oh, I need to think about this for a second. Okay, so I'm going to put my work camp. Work camp here, and then I'm gonna put my granary here, and maybe that will work the way that I want it to. It probably won't. Just turn this around and make sure that this road has access to the workforce. It does. This should be fine. So here we have, over here we've got the workers going on into the fields. So they're spreading their seed around, and then they will, as you can see, the plants will grow, and they go through a couple of different animations for how this grows, I guess. While we are waiting for our first harvest to come in so that we can feed people, I'll talk a little bit more about the culture at the historical site of Prawajet. So Bhutto Mahdi culture, which were the people that from this site were the most important Lower Egyptian prehistoric culture. And they're kind of contemporary with the Naqada 1 and 2 phases in Upper Egypt, so they were kind of happening at the same time. This site has been excavated in real life. They've found quite a few things there. There have been several different periods of excavations happening there. So they have a palace building from the Second Dynasty. That's one of the most important discoveries here has been found. The Egypt Exploration Society excavated here in the 60s. The German Archaeological Institute began excavating here in the 1980s. Also, it is not just a single period site. They do have remains from different periods of history. So this is something I think sometimes people get a bit, they're not really aware of, is that there's a lot of places that have importance throughout, and their importance goes up and down throughout history. So, you know, Prawajet was really important. Oh no! Well, my stuff's gone. Uh-oh, okay. I have to reload an autosave here because clearly this that's really useful. That's one really useful thing about this game is that it autosaves. So yeah, we don't want our first harvest to go to waste, so I'm just going to reload the autosave. Anyway, so in 2022 at this site, they uncovered an ancient hall with some pillars within a larger temple structure, which dates to the 26th dynasty. So this is the late period, 2600 years after the events that we're looking at in this level. And the hall contained remains of 3 surviving columns and a number of stone fragments that were decorated with engravings. Yay! Okay, my figs are coming. This is good. This means people have food. This is what we like. Excellent. All right, let's get a bazaar going. Yeah, they're going to tell me about pottery. Yay, now we get to make pots. Even though, again, they were making pots at this point in time for a long time before this level happened. So I don't know what my employment is like at the moment because I don't have a palace up. That's fine. Yes. So let's see. Are you going to go and get some stuff? Are you going to go get food? Or do I have to delete things? These bazaars are driving me crazy. It's so bizarre. Oh, right, okay, so, good. So for Odin's sake says, I'm glad more people educate others through more casual entertainment methods like this. Yeah, I know. Scientific literature, it can be really daunting. Like, even I, sometimes when I read this stuff, I'm just like, ugh. Like, I have to read sometimes quite a few journals when I'm making archaeology news because I try to, like, when I'm doing the research, a lot for the show, a lot of the time I'll find the news story that's been written about it, but they often will then have links to the original article that's been published that the whole news story is based on, and so I try to read those so that I can get, you know, the source stuff, because sometimes the people that are writing the news articles don't really understand what they're talking about, and they get things incorrect. And even I struggle sometimes with reading that stuff. It's just really complicated. Actually, I wonder if I could take this road away and this would make my life easier. Or I could do it. No. Yes, this way, so this lady in green is distributing food to everyone, so I don't want her to be walking around somewhere that she shouldn't be, basically. Viverica says, is there a brewery to be built? I can believe they are strongly motivated by alcohol as a society. They did love beer. Yes, they loved their beer. Brewing is not in the game yet. It does come along later in the game, which we will 100% talk about Egyptians and their love of liquor. When we get to it, don't worry. That will be another stream because this pre-dynastic period only covers these 3 levels, and I thought it was best to try and divide things up by the different kind of levels. Sections, I guess, that they put everything into. So the next time I do this live stream, I'm not sure exactly. I don't have time to do them every weekend, guys. I'm not going to lie to you. But the next time that I do it, we'll go into what they call the archaic period, which I think is when we start to get beer introduced as the next technology. Matthew Tompkins says, if I could go back in time, I would definitely meet Narmer. I think he's not well known enough. Yeah, I would agree. People don't really know much about him, but he is responsible for the unification of Egypt as one state. So he is incredibly, incredibly important. As a historical figure, and yeah, I would agree, probably not enough people know about him. Okay, I've got to think. I've just got to take a second from my monologue to think about where I'm going to put my pottery. So I probably want to have a palace. I'm going to put it there next to the police station. And then that also has a knock-on effect for the desirability of the area. So the bazaar needs to be... Well, I'm going to try and make it over here. But they need to be able to access a workforce. I think I'll do it over here. And then... But I need them to be able to get to a stored thing. Oh, screw it, I'll just make a... I'm just going to do it this way. Clay pit. So, I'll have a clay pit. And then it'll go... No, I don't want that. No. I'm going to do it over here. I'm sorry, Osiris. There's going to be... Oh, I forgot you can't have it too far away from the Nile. Oh, that's annoying. Ugh. Oh. Also, if you are interested in Narmer, I think he's going to be more extensively covered in the next iteration of this. Oh no, am I going to... Okay, thank God, I'm not going to lose all my figs this year. Oh, panic. I almost panicked there. I don't know why I'm gonna have to... Oh, see, okay. So, yeah, see the Nile's flooding. Oh, agriculture, it's real. Great. I'm gonna have a potter next to it. I'll do a firehouse and an architect's post. Clay pits love to fall down. This is one of the things I've learned from playing this game, is that a clay pit loves to collapse in this game. Right. Oh, but I hate that the lady is now not delivering food. Stop not delivering food where I want you to. Storage yard. Maybe Maybe this will work the way that I want it to. Oh, I have to be careful here as well, because the storage yards, if I don't turn off clay as accepting it, will soon fill up with clay, and that's not what we want. For Odin's sake says, a lot of academics also write in an incredibly flat and dry way. Yeah, I mean, to be fair to them, that is on purpose. They don't write in a dry way. I think that, you know, you need the rigorous kind of like academic, really scientific writing that's supported by lots of references and, you know, like all that. I think that is important, but I think that there's not enough engagement stuff. So like if you're producing an article or a book on a particular subject, like a monograph, this is what a lot of the time when we talk about like a site that's being published as like a book, we call it a monograph. I feel like if you're making that for a site, it should be a requirement to also make a like publicly accessible book about the site that is, you know, written in a way that a normal person that's not an archaeologist can read it and understand it. One of the, oh no, I have health problems. Oh, how annoying. Oh, I've got malaria. Crap. So I've got to put an apothecary and a physician in for my populace to help prevent all the disease. Do I have it? Oh, it's only 66% complete, so we'll see if that works. So yeah, my company that I used to work for in Edinburgh, they did a really big project on the M74. It's a road in Glasgow. And as a part of this, they had to do some community projects. So they did some, like, I think some like displays and stuff like that. And like open exhibitions during the dig, but then they published the monograph, which is a giant thick book, but then they also did a like smaller book that was about the dig and what they discovered, but it was designed for like lay people to read. And I really feel like we should be doing more of that in archaeology, done by archaeologists and not being done by, you know, other or at least in collaboration with archaeologists, right? You want to make sure that you have that authenticity there. Oh, look, we have some pottery. Yay. People are happy with me. Well, they better be. I'm giving them food and I'm giving them pottery. At some point, we'll move on to entertainment. I think I'm going to move my firehouse. And then I'm going to make this into my juggler booth. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, well, this guy, don't need you there. I'm a very ruthless developer. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. Oh, yay! Gotten some industry up and running, so now I get statues. Oh, and roadblocks. Finally! Okay, I love a roadblock. Alright, I'm gonna make a juggler school right there, so then he can do that. Roadblocks. Finally. And garden beautification. Love some beautification. I was today years old. I replayed the game a little while back and I found out that you can actually like rotate what kind of statue is. And as a child, this drove me nuts. I would see like in people's pictures or stuff like that, that they had these like different statues, and I was just basically stuck on this statue of a Pharaoh guy here. I only had this statue and like the bog standard ones, and then somebody pointed out somewhere that you can actually rotate between them all, and I was just like, my life was changed forever. I'm gonna put a statue there just to celebrate. Yeah, you don't like the work camp? Well, tough. liveryman is ready for new orders. So I'm pretty sure that everyone, let me just check this with the roadblocks and municipal structures. Roadblocks can be used to guide your city's walkers. Some walkers have a specific, blah, 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 blah. Roadblocks prevent the passage of these walkers, but allow okay, so anyone with a specific destination can't go past these, but anyone that's just wandering around can. So this is where it starts to get more useful in terms of making sure that your different services can reach your citizens and they don't just go like wandering off into the middle of nowhere. So like, for example, I'm going to put this guy here so then the fire workers only go where they need to. But I need this bazaar to... Okay, you know what? I'm going to put a storage yard here for my pottery. And it's only going to accept clay. Now that I have roadblocks. Beautify it, then... Okay. And now I'm going to do this. And then I'm going to make a road here. But I'm going to put a roadblock here. So that little green lady doesn't need to come here. Oh no. Maybe I'll undo this so that these guys can find access to the workers. Special orders. Definitely buy the pottery. Maybe I'll just make another bazaar and this person can just go buy the pottery and like we can just live our lives. Let's see, I wonder if that will work. Probably not. They're probably just going to like end up I feel like I'm choosing to play this game on hard when it used to be really easy. I'm gonna have to like, because again, I haven't played this game in a few years and I used to play it, like I still have the CD-ROM for this game on my, like I still have it. I would play it, but my desktop computer doesn't have a CD-ROM drive and the CD-ROM that I have I think is probably region locked for Canada. I live in the UK, so I don't know if I would be able to use it. I might, maybe I'll buy myself a plug-in CD-ROM drive and then just see if I can do that. I wonder if I took these away, what would happen to this guy? Oh no, I've got to do this here because the guy with the temple now is going where he's not supposed to go. I wonder if I connect it this way. Will that make a difference? Let me just put a house there instead. Yeah, see? Okay, so it would seem that they need to be connected to this back bit, which I think is a bit weird. I do not remember that being a thing when I was younger. So I clearly don't need this road. Alright guys, I would really like to wrap this up around 6, so I'm hoping that soon my city will progress. So let's also make sure that we put a roadblock so that the basket lady doesn't go where she's not supposed to go. Because that's what she's currently doing. Basket lady, why you gotta do me like that? Go deliver your goods where you're supposed to. There we go. Dun, 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 dun. Woohoo! We got our first modest homestead, guys. Oh, we've got more. Excellent. I've got tons of unemployment. Who's not happy about that? My populace. I'm glad that we're not at the point where they can rebel against me, because that would not be good. Alright, beautification. And do some plazas. So these are just nice roads to kind of entice people into upgrading their houses. Sweet. People will be like, oh, these houses are great. We're going to all move here. How many of these do I need? 10. And a population of 600. I'm getting there, guys. I'm going to make it. I'll put in a garden or two. Try and mitigate the nasty smell of this work camp that clearly makes everybody pretty mad. There's not too little entertainment. There's plenty of entertainment. I don't know what you guys are talking about. All that progress has just been undone. How annoying. Alright, well, I'm going to do another clay pit and potter. Oh, that's annoying. Oh, this is good. This is the good music, guys. This is the music when you're, like, really succeeding at the game and things are prosperous and everybody's just, like, happy and having a good time. Come on, I don't want to run out of money before I beat the level. Another house over here, so... Let's talk a little while I wait for my potters to start producing a little bit more pottery for me. Let's talk a little bit about agriculture in ancient Egypt as my workers harvest my figs for me. So, the Nile, we've talked about this a little bit before. It is essential to the Egyptian economy and is basically solely responsible for the success of their civilization. If they hadn't had the Nile, Egypt as we know it would not have developed. It was an intrinsic relationship that was really important to them, as represented in their deities, their gods, their entire life, their calendar revolved around it. Their calendar was based off of the times of year in which the Nile was inundated and flooded and the farmers couldn't work. That also created a really unique situation in terms of how their economy functioned, because the majority of the people working in ancient Egypt at this time would have been farmers, and for a few months a year they didn't have any work to do. So this is then when we start to have this idea of these massive state-run building projects that these farmers participated in and eventually evolved into things like the pyramids. The way that the Nile functioned is what allowed, in a large part, these projects of this kind of stature to develop, because people had this time on their hands when they literally couldn't work. Yeah, so as I said kind of at the beginning, and I'll reiterate in case you weren't here, when the Egyptians, I'll add another farm in here as well so I can have a bit more food during the year. But when the Nile flooded each year, it was essentially depositing a whole bunch of minerals and just good stuff onto the soil of its banks that when it receded was an incredibly good climate for growing crops. And this was how the Egyptians developed their economy via agriculture. The staple crops that they would have grown were wheat and barley. Barley they then eventually would turn into beer, but they also had their industrial crops like flax, which we'll see later in the game that was used for making linen. We have papyrus. There is actually papyrus in this map. These bits, I'm spoiling this for you, I guess. These bits later start to get used for papyrus making, which is paper. They also, in this level, were growing figs. I'm a really fussy eater, so I haven't actually eaten, I don't even know if I've ever eaten a fig before. Too little entertainment. Lies. Alright, well, they're going to complain about entertainment, then I will give them yet another juggler. Who doesn't love juggling? I'm going to do another booth. Do that over here. Okay. Now we're back to our main thing. Haha! Now I have more modest homesteads. Perfect. Desirability. Okay, let's do another garden. Okay, that's helping. Vaults hold this much Devon. Oh, come on. I just want my houses to evolve. I don't have enough of a population here. Ooh, how do I do this? Come on. I wonder if I can do a plaza. Can't do a plaza here yet. Alright, well, I'm going to get rid of these. And I'm going to do some gardens. And maybe that will change things. I don't know. Oh, actually, I can see how many housing, newcomers, society, hut dwellers. So the majority of people are in these. So one thing that is kind of irritating is I don't have a menu yet that shows me who's in what different houses. Come on. 1, 2, 3. Modest homesteads. I have modest homesteads. I wonder if I can maybe do another bit of population here. Haha! We win! And I've got 3 minutes until 6 o'clock, guys. Woo! I did it. I'm so happy for me. Proceed. Dun, dun,
Your own citizens are beginning to look
dun,
to you as their caretaker, and neighboring cities also hail you as a provider in times of...
Alright, so next is the Archaic period, and in the game it's described as villages emerged in the Predynastic gradually unite to reform the great kingdom of Egypt. Young civilizations found a capital, secures its borders, masters the waters, and builds its first monumental tombs. So yes, this is what I would call the early dynastic period. So this is how Egypt measures time is via dynasties, which are these ruling families. So and also we have these kind of broad periods that we see here. We have the Old Kingdom, the Middle Kingdom, the New Kingdom. In between each of those is a intermediate period where kind of things collapse for a little bit, things get decentralized, there isn't really a strong government, and then they come back. So the early dynastic period is covered by the first kind of 3 dynasties, and at the end of those 3 dynasties is the beginning of the Old Kingdom. So the third, so Narmer, who one of the who was it? I'm glad Matthew Tompkins. Narmer. that's who Matthew Tompkins would go back in time to visit. He is really important. He is the first king who unified Egypt between Upper and Lower Egypt. So I believe he was an Upper Egyptian king, and he conquered Lower Egypt. He united the two lands and began, the Old Kingdom. Let me just check. I'm gonna, I can't begin, this is gonna begin the Archaic period. I don't want to do that. We'll just watch this and then we'll finish.
Leading their people with strength of will and spirit.
Oh, the ostriches.
To tame the wild landscape and bring forth the bounty of Egypt. Villages grow into prosperous cities. Earthen bricks, baked under the desert sun, become sacred tombs.
Ooh.
To house the souls of their departed nobles.
All right, so we're gonna go to this. I'm gonna just kind of skip this so that I can end the game. All right, I'm gonna rearrange things a bit here, guys, and then display else this, and then we'll just make this bigger. And how did I? Again, I can't. I don't know, guys. Sometimes my brain is just struggling to comprehend things sometimes. You know what? Screw it. I'm just going to put myself in the middle of the screen and I'm going to talk to you for a little bit. Okie dokie. Early dynastic period. I'm just going to refresh this because obviously I didn't research this for the video today. So the early dynastic, also known as the Archaic period or Thinite period, generally taken to include the first dynasty, second dynasty, lasting to the end of the agricultural culture of Naqada III, and the beginning of the Old Kingdom. So the beginning of the Old Kingdom, yes, okay, so I was correct. The beginning of the Old Kingdom starts with Narmer uniting Upper and Lower Egypt. So the first and the second, the first dynasty, oh no, is that Narmer's thing? Okay, sorry guys, I'm getting confused. It's been a while. I thought that he was there. I'm getting him confused with Cooney. This is why. So I recently watched Unknown, The Lost Pyramid of Netflix. You can watch my review of it on my channel. Go check it out. And there's a guy in there called Huni. So I've been like immersing myself in ancient Egypt lately, and that is why I'm getting so confused. So the first dynasty of Egypt is started with Narmer uniting ancient Egypt, Upper and Lower Egypt, and then starting the early dynastic period. And then at the end of the early dynastic period, which is around the third dynasty, we start the Old Kingdom, which is when we start to see pyramids. Okay, it's straight in my brain now. That makes more sense. Yes, so that will be the next stream. We will be talking about Narmer. So Matthew, make sure that you attend. It's also saying, strangely enough, Raiders of the Lost Ark got me interested in ancient Egypt. That is not strange. That makes total sense because that movie also made me interested in ancient Egypt as well. As I've said several times, like, ancient Egypt is my bag. It is the thing that I was obsessed with as a kid. It's always been my favorite ancient civilization. I haven't become an Egyptologist, more so to do with several other reasons, nothing to do with interest, more to do with like viability of a career and what I'd be able to do with it. But I still obviously love it and I pay lots of attention to it. So yeah, thanks guys for coming along. We've just played through our game of Predynastic Egypt. We've just beaten Parajet, and we will now be moving on next time to the early dynastic archaic period. So we're talking about Narmer. We'll probably start doing stuff with beer. We'll have mastabas, which are precursor burial monuments to pyramids, and were a very popular type of burial monument that Egyptians used even while the kings were getting pyramids because they could afford them. Nobles and those other kinds of people were still getting their mastabas made. Viverka said, I wonder if a gene flow through 3,000 years brought a bit of ancient Egypt DNA. You know what? Maybe. It's entirely possible. Egyptian genetics are a can of worms. I'm not going to comment on today, but maybe if that's something that people are interested in learning a little bit more about, I can talk about it. I will say, I was thinking about this when I was out and about today. If you've ever seen Night at the Museum with Ben Stiller, I loved that film when it came out, and it has a character in it that's an ancient Egyptian king that's brought to life by a magical artifact, and it's played by a very young Rami Malek. And I have seen on social media before something about like people complaining about, you know, a white guy portraying an Egyptian pharaoh, blah, 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 blah. And the irony of that statement is so crazy because Rami Malek is his family is Coptic Egyptian. And so there's lots of different things that people can say about just direct descendants of ancient Egyptians. And I will say that direct descendants of things are outside of maybe some like noble lineages, like, you know, King Charles III now is in many ways a direct descendant of William the Conqueror. You can trace that family back. But in terms of like a general population, direct descendants, that's not really a thing anymore. You know, modern day Egyptians will be genetically descended with influences from other populations as well, obviously from ancient Egyptians, but there are people who have more direct descent than others. And Coptic Egyptians are thought to be one of the most direct descendant populations of ancient Egyptians that we have, because they were very, I think, what I've heard, and do not take this as like absolute Bible, but from what I can recollect, as a Christian community, especially after the Arab conversion of Egypt, they were quite insular. So, you know, they didn't interbreed a lot with the Arab population. They interbred within their own population. And so this is around 2,000 years ago. So the Christian community in Egypt would have started developing around the time of Christ, so around 2,000 years ago. And then when the Arabs took over a few hundred years later, they brought in their genetic material. And I will say as well that even before the Christians developed, you would have had the Greeks bringing and the Persians bringing their genetic material into the material pool of the ancient Egyptians. So let's not think that the Egyptians at the time of Christ were 100% direct descendants of people from the Old Kingdom, etc. That's not the case. But yes, anyway, Coptic Christians are thought to be one of the most direct descendant lines from people that we would think of as ancient Egyptians. And Rami Malek is from a Coptic Christian family. So he is probably the closest thing that we have in Hollywood to somebody who is resembling an ancient Egyptian. And the fact that people were complaining about him being a pharaoh, it just like blows my mind. It's just like, yeah, it's just not correct at all. Yes. Anyways, thanks everybody for coming along today. It's been nice to chat to you and to see what you have to say in the chat. I'm not gonna lie, I am probably gonna play Pharaoh a little bit more between now and the next stream, just so I don't feel like so confused when I'm playing it when things aren't going the way that I want it to. And I'm also going to practice to try and make the screen a little bit better, so that it's not just like weirdly in a corner and the cutscenes are like this big. I don't know why I did that. So I'm going to play a little bit more with OBS so it's better next time. I don't have time next weekend. My schedule is starting to kind of like fill up a bit, but I will be doing the next stream in the next few weeks. Maybe I'll just start doing it like once a month instead of like every other weekend or something like that. But obviously on my socials, I will let you know when the next stream is going to be happening so that you can join me. And these things are also going to be available on my YouTube channel after I finish them. So you will be able to watch them there, even if you can't join on the day. I will also say, what else was I going to say? Oh, my Instagram, I'm at like 970 something Instagram followers. So I'm getting close to 1,000, guys. So if you haven't followed me on Instagram, please, please, please follow me on Instagram. I really want to get to 1,000 Instagram followers by the end of the month. I've been doing all my reels on there. I mean, I danced around in a gold painted hard hat with a trowel for the latest reel that I made. So yes, I'm, putting the effort in. So please, please, please go follow me there. If you haven't subscribed to me on YouTube, subscribe to me on YouTube so that you can find it when we have the next stream, and also so you can check out all of my other content that's about archaeology. I try to make these things interesting for you guys. I hope that you have found this interesting. I hope that you've learned something new that you didn't learn before and that it has engaged with you. And if you feel like it, you can go buy the game Pharaoh on Steam. Give it a try for yourself. It's from the 90s, basically, if you haven't, probably if you have like a modern day calculator, you could probably run the game on it nowadays. It doesn't have that big system requirements, and I think mine was only like £7, so it's not expensive. It's a great game. It's a great learning tool, and you can experiment with it yourself. And I would love to hear next time we stream if anybody has gone out and bought the game, what they thought of it. So yeah, thanks so much for coming by, everyone. I've had a really fun time engaging with you, and I hope you all have an excellent rest of your weekend. All right, I'll see you next time. Bye.